Okay, I hope the previous ones were helpful for you to understand your niches better. Right? Now let's validate the niche that you have derived up to now. Okay, the process to do that. Okay, before I get into the process, please understand. See the definition for micro niche. Right? It consists of 5 P's. Your passion should solve problems within a targeted marketplace focused on the decided persona of the audience showing potential in their requirements and capable of finding value in the payment requested. Right? Now, the value that has been mentioned there is something that a customer feels what it is. You, as a person of the service provider or the asset provider, might know the value from your perspective, right? But what the customer sees. Now, depending on the geography, depending on various cultural aspects, various people perceive this in a very different fashion. So the simple way to look at value is that you need to give maybe 50 times more or 100 times more than what you are giving in return to that payment that you're asking for. All right. Payment in this case is the dollar value of the currency value that you're receiving. Okay? So people will, anybody out there will want to see more than what you can give. So more the freebies, better it is, right? Or what they're paying you, if they get more in terms of learning or education or which they can imply somewhere, it itself is a more. Okay. So always remember that the value is what counts. Payment is an offbeat of that activity. Clear? Right. With that said, okay, now let's validate. Let's see how we can validate our micro niches. And I say micro niche because niche has been derived. We have to get to a level where micro niches and maybe super micro niches come into play, so that you become a gold mine in doing that. Okay, and you put your time and effort into assets which will really fructify in the right fashion. With that note, so the what you see on the screen, right? There are various marketplaces that can be used for different digital assets based on the activities that you choose to do and creating the assets that you want to do, want to create. Now, suppose you are creating a courseware, right? Or let's take the same example of the sketch artist who's trying to now find what is that people are looking for and what is the course that he can create. So maybe after all this, he derived that people are looking to create still life using charcoal for the sketching purpose, and they want to learn how to do that. And he puts up a course, right? Then what should one do is go to places like Udemy, your course, all these, platforms out there who typically are your competition, if you will, if you consider them competition, and see what are the courses and the other activities that they're offering as a topic out there. Is it fulfilling anybody's need, right? And if so, what is the value they're charging? And I went to the extent of even going through the details and paying for the courses to understand what they're really doing. Okay. Now, I as personally did not find value in any of these, in what at least I am doing. Right. Now that soul and whole purpose came because of all this. We did not find the value that person can derive out of this for the amount they're paying, and the quality itself, and the various other factors. Right, you might want to go there and find the same things by yourself, and then construct and derive to do things what they are not doing, or doing the right things right in the fashion you think they're doing it wrong. Right, and then you maybe create a courseware out of this. So this will give you a validation of the value you're getting, right? If the value is higher, more people are asking for it, and more people are there, even for the quality that is not as perfect as supposed to be, then you know where you stand, right, with your micro niche. So then you start applying it. Okay, so that's from a learning perspective, right? So there's learning market space. Then some of you might become affiliates or sorts of selling other people's products, right? Or become aggregators, as we discussed earlier, as a model where you take various products and start selling those things as an improvised service or a hybrid kind of a model of products and services and so on and so forth. Right? You check those elements by going online at ClickBank and JVZoo and ShareSell. These are the top three, at least we found. There are many more, right? where you will see such kind of sales activities happening, because in case you're finding a channel of selling through affiliate marketing, this could become one. All right, so you know what is working out there and you create your digital assets accordingly in the business, the business growth area or the other areas that you're looking at. Similarly, if you go to revalidate what you found in your 100 questions, right, you can revalidate those 100 derivations, that is what you derive from those 100 questions, by going to Quora. Ask similar questions, get the answers, see what you have derived out of answerthepublic.com or Google, etc., and then go about finalizing those out of the outcome that you get from these various resource areas, right? Now, incidentally, if you see this answerthepublic.com mentioned again over there, right? Now, the reason it is mentioned over there again is that sometimes what you find as your answers in the questions that you derived, 100 questions, that answer itself might sometimes be a question which you might get further once again into answerthepublic.com, right? While you're doing Quoras and the others of the world. Okay, so be part of those forums. Get as much information that is your personal research for the niche that you derive, right? Because you can after doing all this, you will come to a derivation of niche that you think you can do very well, have the passion for, and have certain skills to go there, and then use this course to create that digital assets that you want to out of this. Okay, so again, to finally validate your niche, we went through answerthepublic.com, derived 100 questions. That came about because either you're an artist or you're a business person who wants to get into the area of business growth, or you're an arts and craft person who has different sculpture related activity, whatever that we showed you those respective larger niches that exist out there. Choose one of those and get deeper in the area that circumvents you. So coming back, so once you choose the niche area out of those 6, you get into the area where you want to be specific with. You go to answerthepublic.com, derive 100 questions. 100 questions will result into 100 answers and the story for each of those. Story is the solution and what you can kind of bake around it as your own story, which you can relate to, which you can pass on to the people, because you would have gone through that already yourself. Okay. Number 3, after you have done that, you will go about finding your micro niches, which would mean that after those 100 answers come into play, you will get into your a larger derivation of certain area, which you will go back to these marketplaces to revalidate. Once depending on what you want to do with it, typically people, if they're not doing the course, they will go into the resources, that is either of these medium, and ask those questions again to get those answers, right? And that is the 4th area. Now, once you do that, you get a validation of so many answers coming your way and confirming after you've been through all your other 3 elements, that where you see YouTube was famous for that, Google had similar kind of questions. You went to other marketplaces, you see the population of like the courseware or your other competition place where you see people asking those kind of or using or buying those kind of assets everywhere else, right? Then you go finally for the resources, when you use the medium to go about finalizing that what you are working on will bear fruit for you, right? In the area, or you have to reorient yourself to go through this 4-level exercise again. Clear? So this is how you find your micro niches and validate it through a marketplace. Right? If you have still further more questions, let's discuss it during the inner circle where you can give a practical view of this. Okay? Now, next we will go to the design thinking, a little bit of an overview of that, right? I'll see you